spring to see what we can do as well. And we also, like everybody else in America, need to continue to look at kickoff coverage. It's hard to do. It put us in a bind. We looked up, I think Alabama was 117th in kickoff coverage. So the team that won the national championship was 117th, and the next best team's mad at every kickoff. So because we don't cover like we want to. So it's a hard thing, and we've all got to continue to look at that. We also wanted to do a better job of dropping the ball inside the 10. We're playing better defense. We need to play better field position. And we feel like that's something that Justin and John Gold should work on a lot, because we've gone for fourth down so many times in that 35 to 40-yard area. When we cross the 50, we do feel like we can back some people up. John, Bill? Questions?
Do you look at rush and kickoff and field goals?
Yes, and punting.
And punting.
Yes, he does all three. It's the reason we signed him. We felt like, and I might have mentioned this, we felt like that there was a chance we could redshirt Hunter and play Ryan. And then all of a sudden, Hunter just had the great start, and we were into it too deep. And then we started looking around. We had numbers, and we looked, and we had about 5 kickers we followed all year. And this was the one that we felt like had the chance to do all three. And by losing John next year, and Justin can do it all, but our experience has been they just wear down, wear out. I think Greg Johnson pulled up by Nebraska, and Richmond McGee ended up having his back pulled a hamstring. And
you wouldn't mind Tucker doing field goals and kickoffs?
No. Yes, whether it's right or not, the best one to ever do it was Ray Guy, in many people's minds. And Ray is a friend, and I always ask him, why did you kick off? And I guess he kicked off and punted at the Raiders, but he never did field goals. And he said that they did not want him to do 3 phases. They just felt like it beat you down over time. You can do 2, you can't do 3. So what we'd like to do is John's a great punter. I'm not worried about him. That he'll be fine. I did go to sleep one night, or try to sleep, and envision in the Rice game, Justin spraining his ankle and us lining up to kick a field goal, and I was asked to kick it. So it wasn't good. I mean, it's one of those dreams. It's a bad dream. So I guess it'd be called a nightmare. Now, I did kick in high school.
Did you make it in your dream?
I never got that far. I woke up scared. I broke out in a sweat. And I thought you were going to ask if I made them high school. I wasn't going there because y'all can check that.
Coach, will we see I formation in the offense with the 2 backs? Or?
You're going to have 2 backs, so it depends on what you call it. You know, an H-back, people in college football now are calling a fullback B. That's what they call him. If you move him up to the line, they call him H. So whatever you call him, we'll have 2 backs in the backfield, and we'll have a back deep. And not all the time. I mean, you know, there was a time around here we were all griping about the I. So let's call it multiple, Ed. Multiple sounds good.
Can you talk about the offensive line, just this group coming in behind these 5th-year seniors who just left, and how far you think they are along?
Yes, I'm really excited about this group because they've played quite a bit in a backup role. You know, David Snow started at center last year at Kansas and did a great job 2 years ago. And we feel like David's a better center than guard. So he's just more consistent there. Michael Huey got so much better this year and overcame injuries to do that. Trey Allen's a young guy that moved around last year to try to help us because we were so thin in the defensive line. But Trey is so athletic. We think he's ready to go. He really improved at the end of the year. And most of these guys weren't redshirted, which really hurts them. I mean, we wonder why they seem to be a little behind sometime. That year for the offensive line was really important. We weren't able to do that with this class. Britt Mitchell, I thought, was one of the best blocking tight ends I'd ever seen at Kilgore, and I'm excited to watch him. And, of course, Kyle is really good. So when you're looking at those guys, they should be really good. And this is the first chance that 2 of those guys have had, Trey and Britt, for sure. And the other guys need to step it up as well. But I expect us to be good. I think the fact that we're lining up with our tailback deeper our quarterback under the line of scrimmage, some going forward, should help the offensive lineman. And part of that responsibility is on the backs. We've told our backs we'd like to separate. We don't want to see, when you got 4 backs, you'd like to have one and then another. But right now, all 4 can play. And they're all 4 about the same. They're all 4 doing a good job. But none of them have just jumped out and just taken over and been the backs that we're used to around here. When Jackie Sherrill told me one time after we beat them in the Cotton Bowl, he walked over and said, well, you've ruined yourself for the rest of your life. And I said, what do you mean? He said, you'll be looking for Ricky Williams the rest of your life and you'll never find him. Well, then you find Selvin, you find Cedric Benson, you find Jamal. We've had pretty good backs. So, but he is right. Our expectations around here of that back is really important to us.
Mack, anything particular about Boise State's offense that you want to really study while they're here the next couple of weeks?
I've watched them for the last few years. I have not been happy with our trick plays, innovation. I want to have more fun with the offense. It's hard to have trick plays when you run a spread. They have to be thrown back and forth. You don't have flow as much. So it is a different game, and I understand that. But I think Chris Peterson and Boise have done one of the best jobs of having fun with plays, and kids like it, and people like it, and I like it, and it's so I want us to have more innovation in those type plays, and they've been able to run a lot of offense. They can run it, they can throw it, they line up in the eye, they line up in the spread, and they've done a good job with all those things. So you look. I liked what Oregon State did this year. I've watched them with a quarterback guy in the backfield, and so you just start looking across the country. We feel like you can learn more on defense from pro teams, because the pro defenses are so far ahead of the college defenses in my estimation, because they're running a lot of pressure schemes, and they have to disguise so well because the pro quarterbacks are so good at what they do. Offensively, the pro offenses are very similar. You don't see that many different thoughts. Colleges, each year you look at what you feel like can be best, and there's some similarities in the two. They're doing things more like we did them in the late 90s and early 2000s.
Back in Mason Walters, foot limitations have been handled any differently last year?
No, I don't think so. I can't get into that, but I think I think they think he'll be fine. It's just he's a big man, and that's that injury. Without getting me in trouble, Alan, Derek Loki had it. Ishii had it. David Thomas had it with the Patriots. So it's not a season-ending injury or career-ending injury, but it's something that needs to get fixed. We're also excited that Mason had a full spring last year where he struggled some. He had all fall and then played in 2 or 3 games. So he got a lot of football that we think will help him get back faster than if he had been a freshman that didn't get any of that work. So he knows what to do. He would have been rotating some, I thought, as a starter.
If he and Calvin, are they going to apply to get that year back?
Yes, very definitely. And neither one of them were able to play. Right. So I would think, I mean, we have no guarantees, but based on the past, everything's in place for them to get their year back.
Matt, where can a young quarterback come the farthest in the spring?
I think leadership. It's I'll never forget that Colt called me once in the summer, maybe his first year, and he said, some of these guys won't come. I can't get them to come. And I'll never forget, I said, well, that's your job. It's not mine. I can't get them to come because I break rules. We can't even be out there. I can't call them. I can't do anything. So you've got to get the guys to want to be there. And I asked Garrett about that at midseason. So you're going to be the older quarterback, you and Sherrod, but you've played more. So you two are going to have to be the guys to get the guys to rally around for the 7-on-7 and the summer work. And of course, Garrett said, that's not a problem for me, Coach. I can get that done. So, but I think that's the biggest thing. And then the second thing is taking care of the ball. We're still at that point where we're 70-0 when we win explosive plays and turnovers. We're 1-7 team when we lose it, and that goes to the national championship game. So